Dedicated to spookier things of life.
Yes, and tonight our ghost hunter-in-chief, Phil Bales, has outdone himself, taking a torchlit tour of one of the city's most haunted spots. Bunhill Fields is the final resting place of some of our most famous authors. But as Phil now reports, some appear to be resting more easily than others.
Ancient bones aren't far beneath the soil in a small city graveyard packed with 120,000 souls. No wonder one or two pop up for the occasional breather. Bunhill Fields was never consecrated. It's the final resting place for nonconformists who hated the established church. And it's the latter-day domain of Tom Mannion, part gardener, part custodian of resident wraiths, who introduced me to his most distinguished guests.
So who are the most famous people who are buried here?
Well, we got like three in particular, so the first one would be William Blake, famous poet and painter, and Daniel Defoe, author of Robinson Crusoe, and John Bunyan, who wrote Pilgrim's Progress. They're probably the three most famous in here. There's a lot of famous ministers and things like that that's buried in here. They're the three most famous that's here.
After all you've heard, do you believe in ghosts?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Even though I haven't had experience myself yet, but yeah, I do, yeah.
There are some very famous people buried in here. Look at this name here, look. Hannah Cromwell, Oliver Cromwell's granddaughter. Stay in there, Hannah. No need to come out. Stay at rest.
But other spirits refuse to lie down and die, like the poltergeist preacher passing by.
There's a girl like this Italian woman that I know is coming in here for about 30 odd years, and she was telling me she was coming through the gate here on a bicycle there one morning, and suddenly this wind came, and this guy, dressed in a long black garb, swished past her, knocked her off her bicycle, and came straight through this gate over here, straight down to a grave down there, which is Susanna Wesley's, who was the mother of John Wesley, whose church is across the road. He was dressed like a preacher.
Gardeners have seen gravestones suddenly submerged by fearsome floods. In their hut, objects mysteriously moved about. Sinisterly, steam rose from mildewed mausoleums.
And then there was the night that one of the gardeners said that he saw steam rising from the ground among the graves. Stories about ghostly goings-on abound because this is one of the most haunted places in London. The one that I like the most is about a woman in a dark cloak who was walking along here when suddenly she disappeared. Now that's a bit too much to contemplate, too frightening. How could she be here 1 minute and then be gone the next?
Of course it's impossible for people to disappear. Here's Tom Mannion, torch in hand, returning from locking the phantoms in for the night. He'll let me out of the graveyard's other gate. Tom? Tom?
Mr. Bales is very brave.
Do you know his hair has turned grey?
Look, quite white, actually.
He's troubled. He's a very troubled man. A couple of years ago, he very kindly gave me a couple of cats. A neighbour of his had passed away. And, well, one of them is black and white. You see, I think that was the problem. I think Phil was doomed from the outset. I really do. And Blake has turned up in those Hannibal Lecter films. You see, that's why the spirit won't lie. It's all entirely logical.
Apparently.
Anyway, now, it's you.